Muy buenos días, señoras y señores que se nos han unido a este evento que estamos desarrollando esta mañana en América Latina, esta noche con los colegas que nos acompañan de la República de Corea. Nos separan 12 horas de diferencia, así que les agradecemos mucho a nuestros amigos coreanos por la disponibilidad para participar en este evento sobre promoción de la agricultura sostenible en la República de Corea, marco de políticas y casos ilustrativos para América Latina y el Caribe. Para iniciar el evento vamos a tener las palabras introductorias de la señora Janet Sánchez, directora de la División de Recursos Naturales de la CEPAL, y del ministro Yang Ho-in de la Embajada de la República de Corea en Chile. Le paso la palabra a la señora Janet Sánchez.
Gracias, Adrián. Muy buenos días, señor Yang Ho-in, ministro de la Embajada de la República de Corea aquí en Chile. Muy buenas noches. Doctor Taek Ryung Kwang, director general de la Oficina de Cooperación de la Administración de Desarrollo Rural de la República de Corea. Señor Isidor Byong-Diok-yu, de la Asociación Coreana de Agricultura Ecológica, doctor Sayed Shah Yang Sadiki, de la Escuela de Recursos Naturales y Ciencias Ambientales, Gangwon National University. Les agradecemos mucho a todos por su disponibilidad para participar en este evento. Sabemos que allá es la noche, entonces nos separan 12 horas, pero realmente nos une este espíritu de cooperación. Agradecemos mucho su presencia. Muy buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches a todas las personas que nos están acompañando y siguiendo a través de la plataforma Zoom. Quiero empezar reiterando nuestro agradecimiento a la República de Corea a través de usted, señor ministro Yang, por la colaboración brindada a la CEPAL y por la apertura para incluir en el convenio del 2020-2021 el tema de soluciones basadas en la naturaleza como una vía para impulsar la sostenibilidad de la agricultura y para la recuperación post-pandemia de COVID-19 que nos atañe en todo el mundo, pero también en nuestra región. Este webinar es el segundo que realizamos en poco más de un mes en el marco de dicho convenio, esta vez con el objetivo de conocer las experiencias de los sectores público, social y académico de la República de Corea para promover la sostenibilidad de la agricultura, que es de mucho interés para nosotros aquí en la región de América Latina y el Caribe. Para eso tenemos tres ilustres expositores: el doctor Kwon, que nos dará una perspectiva desde el sector público enfocada en el rol de la investigación aplicada al desarrollo agrícola para fomentar la sostenibilidad en el sector. El señor Isidor, que nos dará una perspectiva desde el sector privado, social, sobre cómo se promueve la agricultura sostenible en su organización. Y el doctor Sayed, que nos hablará desde el ámbito del sector académico. Sabemos que la República de Corea es un país líder en promover la sostenibilidad de su agricultura. Tienen marcos legales muy relevantes para nuestro aprendizaje en el desarrollo de políticas públicas. Por ejemplo, la Ley Marco sobre Crecimiento Verde y Bajo en Carbono, la Ley de Promoción de la Agricultura y la Pesca amigables con el ambiente y la gestión y apoyo a los alimentos orgánicos, y la Ley Marco de Agricultura, Comunidad Rural e Industria Alimentaria. Recientemente también nos interesa mucho el New Deal 2020, que es una estrategia de recuperación de la pandemia del COVID-19 que abarca tanto temas ambientales como digitales. Estamos trabajando en un documento en el que revisamos esos y otros marcos de políticas habilitadoras para el desarrollo de soluciones basadas en naturaleza como una alternativa para fomentar la sostenibilidad de la agricultura. El documento estará disponible en las próximas semanas y quisiera compartirles brevemente algunos elementos que consideramos destacados y que sin duda serán enriquecidos por las presentaciones y el diálogo que mantendremos este día. Por ejemplo, la importancia asignada a los temas de educación y emprendimiento, la generación de capacidades tanto de productores como de los técnicos que acompañan los procesos, la promoción del diálogo y de la concertación entre actores, un elemento importante para generar empoderamiento desde lo local, la aplicación de enfoques de paisaje que requiere un pensamiento sistémico y una comprensión del sistema socioecológico a diferentes escalas espaciales y temporales, la co-construcción de políticas públicas para habilitar acciones y soluciones para proteger, restaurar y gestionar de manera sostenible los recursos naturales, la aplicación de nuevas tecnologías, como es el caso de las plataformas digitales que facilitan la compra de productos orgánicos directamente del productor, y no menos importante, el proceso de actualización al que son sometidas las leyes, tomando en cuenta los resultados que se van logrando y la necesidad de irse adaptando a las nuevas realidades. Esperamos que este evento sea muy fructífero y que sirva para fortalecer el proceso de colaboración y conocimiento mutuo entre nuestros países. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señora directora. I want to remind our English-speaking audience that there is an interpretation button at the bottom of the screen. A continuación, le cedo la palabra al ilustre señor Yang Ho-in, ministro de la Embajada de la República de Corea en Santiago de Chile. Doctor.
Estimada señora Janet Sánchez, directora de la División de Recursos Naturales e Infraestructura de la CEPAL. Señor Adrián Rodríguez, jefe de Unidad de Desarrollo Agrícola y Biodiversidad. Distinguidos panelistas, señoras y señores, muy buenos días. Quisiera comenzar estas palabras dándoles una cordial bienvenida a todos los presentes y expresando mis agradecimientos por la oportunidad que se me brinda de poder saludarlos y acompañarlos en esta segunda edición del webinario sobre soluciones basadas en la naturaleza, o SBNs. Me permito aprovechar la ocasión para felicitar y agradecer a todos quienes hicieron posible este encuentro, al que considero muy valioso, ya que busca iniciar una discusión regional sobre las oportunidades que presentan las SBNs en la agricultura para una recuperación sostenible en América Latina y el Caribe post-COVID-19. Y en particular, identificar las buenas prácticas de la República de Corea en la materia que puedan servir como un punto de referencia para la implementación de las SBNs en la región. En la filosofía antigua coreana, la misión terrenal del hombre era justamente conectar los diferentes elementos de la naturaleza para forjar armonía en el universo y procurar el bienestar de toda la humanidad. Casi una forma poética de expresar lo que hoy decimos desarrollo sostenible, el principio rector para un mundo mejor a largo plazo. En este sentido, espero sinceramente que las exposiciones de esta mañana sobre las buenas prácticas de mi país en materia de agricultura sostenible puedan inspirar a los países de América Latina y el Caribe para implementar políticas públicas y modelos de producción que impulsen una rápida recuperación post-pandemia a través de generación de empleos y aumento de productividad, cuidando al mismo tiempo la sostenibilidad del suelo. La República de Corea, desde su afiliación a CEPAL, en el 2007 y posterior creación del Fondo de Cooperación en el año 2011, ha colaborado estrechamente con la CEPAL para promover el desarrollo económico y social de América Latina y el Caribe, a través de diversos proyectos de investigación y divulgación sobre políticas públicas, internacionalización de pymes y urbanización, entre otros. Es intención de Corea seguir compartiendo sus experiencias y buenas prácticas con el fin de contribuir al desarrollo inclusivo y sostenible de la región, así como para profundizar el entendimiento mutuo entre la República de Corea y América Latina y el Caribe. Sin más, les deseo una exitosa jornada de trabajo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, ministro Yang. Con esto damos por inaugurado el evento y sin más pasamos entonces con las presentaciones. I will continue in English. Let me first, we have three presenters, yes, as our director indicated. Let me first introduce Dr. Tai-Ryom Kwon. He is the Director General of the Rural Development Administration in Korea, which is the central government body dealing with agricultural research and development in Korea. He has been the principal investigator of the California Rice Research Project funded by the USDA in 2000, principal scientist of Biodiversity International in 2010, and he has represented the Korean government to international negotiation tables, such as G20 meetings of agricultural chief scientists and GMOs in issues of climate change and others in his personal expertise. He has a PhD in plant science from Coventry University in England, obtained in 1997. Dr. Kwon, the floor is yours. I will let you know when we have arrived to the 20 minutes mark, if deemed necessary. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adrian Rodriguez, as well as that I am very honored to be here, especially to introduce Korean agricultural research and development for sustainability. Let me introduce myself briefly that I am in charge of international cooperation for agricultural innovation. Okay, let me show you the changes of Korean Peninsula that it's in Seoul. There are 50 years gap actually that to describe this left column and the right columns. How can we describe these changes? Just a miracle actually that it means that in agricultural terms we have big challenges because consumers demand various the different tasty and quality of foods. So agricultural innovation should meet such the demands. So that Korean government actually that very concerned at the very beginnings of the Korean government agricultural R&D actually that enough food supply, food security, in other terms, food security. In 1970s, actually, that Korean agricultural R&D provided a high-yield staple crop rice to the publics, and actually it supported Korean economics growth in 1980s. In the 80s, actually, that people demand this high quality fresh vegetables, even in the chilly winter seasons. So the Korean agricultural innovation overcome the challenges of climate, very high, even harsh winter seasons. We could grow the tropical crop like the chili pepper, even in the winter seasons. So Korean people now enjoy year-round fresh vegetables without any problems because of the agricultural innovations. As you also know, Korea has 4 distinctive seasons. Actually, some people describe it very beautiful in the winter snow, but we cannot grow anything during the winter seasons. But in summer seasons, actually, it's very hot, and we just passed the very hot summer seasons, and now going to the autumn seasons. We have very 4 distinct seasons, not like the tropical weathers. We cannot grow every time food crops, so that we have to know exactly what's the actual weather for agricultures, so that we need that much of science to overcome such the changes of the weathers all seasons. Also, Korea has about 23% of Arab land in total land, especially in South Korea. Actually, it means that almost 70% is the mountainous area. When I hosted ecologists from Europe, they said actually that you have a very beautiful nature as well as the big nature buffer zones for agricultural production. But as you see, actually, the small agricultural land means that we need a very intensive technology for higher productivity. So we have to use the lot of resources like the fertilizer, so that we very concerned about the environmental as well. So that we need a very fine technology to reduce the harmful resources for agricultural productions, including the fertilizers to the environment. So we like to develop at this moment the precision agriculture, use that very precisely resources to get that enough productivity. So the Korean government created the Rural Development Administration in 1962, after about almost 10 years after Korean War. At that time, that very poor, so that this is a special administration for food security at that time. Actually, that now we hired almost 2,000 steps, including 1,180 research scientists, quite a powerful research capacity for agricultural innovation. Actually, that also with linked with that the provincial agricultural extension service. That actually we have a very nice research and development systems. One example actually that when we invented a new technology in this year, we can deliver very good, useful new technology to the farmers next year. That is what we set up the speedy the systems for agricultural R&D, especially for farmers. So we could have enough actually the productivity of agriculture. So far that in Korea, the Rural Development Administration especially set up almost 60 partner countries all over the world through the one actually program, a Korea program on international agriculture, which set up 22 COPIA center all over the world. So it means that 22 partner countries for COPIA programs. Another one actually for each continent, we set up the multilateral cooperation initiative. Actually for Asia, Asian Food and Agricultural Cooperation Initiative covers almost 13 member countries. CAPACI for Africa included that actually 23 the partners, Colpachi for Latin America. Actually, that we have the 13 partner countries, and actually that also did many advanced technology corporations. We set up that we send that our scientists for corporations to USA, China, and the Netherlands, as well as International Agricultural Institute as well. Okay, let me show you a few achievement and the achievement for agricultural R&D in Korea. Actually, that this was actually for the staple crop, rice. Actually, that the RD scientists developed that very tasty and high yield rice variety, and also the farm mechanization for rice productions, also processing to the fine technology for export as well. So that we achieved actually the productivity. Last 50 years, almost the 65% more productivity because of the technical innovations. Meanwhile, actually that for rice production that we almost mechanized almost 20, nowadays 98.6% mechanization. So we don't need to spend a lot of the time as well as resources because that mechanizations, actual labor saving as well as the fertilizer, less fertilizer and agricultural chemicals. That actually that based on the scientific evidence, we could realize the sustainable production of rice. Every rice farms at this moment. I myself are also rice farmers. During the weekend, actually, I spend a little bit time, but I do not spend a lot of the time as well as that resources. Just one spray on agricultural chemicals is quite enough to produce enough productivity at this moment. Another one actually that when we set up the RD, that first investment for the agricultural innovation, actually soil survey. We started it 1969. Actually, that we RD has accumulated that soil survey data for almost 60 years time. Now we can provide the very fine information of soils is through the GIS-based total information service. Actually, the farmers can select the optimal crops for their own farms, as well with less fertilizer use. Actually, that is through the fertilizer recommendation programs. Then maybe that we can say each kind of for the sustainable agriculture. That is very fundamental. The data for sustainable agriculture at this moment. So Korean farmers mostly use these recommendations at this moment. Another one actually that, as I mentioned earlier, that in the winter seasons, that we have to grow the fresh vegetables in the plastic film house. Actually, that at the time in the greenhouse, actually, we so sometimes that we have to use the fertilizer and agricultural chemicals very much, but nowadays that we are using the digital tools, sensors and tools for very accurate control over the environment for fresh vegetable productions. Then maybe that they actually nowadays that we do not say any safety concerns over the consuming fresh vegetables, even we produce within the plastic film house. That some people say this one actually smart farming, but we like to say just about the vinyl house agricultural systems. It's well quite used by the farmers. Okay, that for the climate change, the farmers every time not happy because of extreme weather conditions. So the best way actually to avoid extreme weather conditions, so that RD developed the early warning agrometeorological service systems at this moment. That in 2027 that we will be installed all over the Korean peninsula at this moment. Now it's quite successfully installed these programs actually that the farmers can avoid the extreme weather, natural catastrophe because of the using this service. Another one actually that RDA has that special the department doing research activities for organic agriculture. Actually, that we are also this one actually the very science-based organic farming once. So recently that RDA donated the Organic Farming Innovation Award, OPIA, actually to the global community. Actually, that we like to contribute for the growth of organic farming through the technological innovations. Actually, that is what we are doing at this moment. Another one is biodiversity concerns. The RD has the National Gene Bank actually that two set of gene bank at this moment. It's that we are using that this gene bank for global seed vault as well as the international training programs as well. That actually that we like to maintain the genetic diversity for future generation as well. Also that we have a lot of that in the activities for cooperation activities with that partner countries on it. Also that at this moment, the big concerns that the task at this moment, carbon neutrality in agricultural sectors, so that we are to like to use the smart farm technology, using the post-industrial technology like IoT and artificial intelligence, something like that. Also that we already developed a lot of low carbon agricultural technologies like that the alternated wetting and the drying, irrigation systems for the rice productions, also that organic farming, also that for the animal sectors that less the methane emission feeds as well. Another one is that in the agricultural sector, so at this moment, 1 million tons of carbon emissions from the fossil fuel use in agricultural sector, so that we would like to develop the technology for new and renewable energy for agricultural sectors. Also that we highly invited that the participation of consumers for these methods as well. So that now that we like to use the digital agricultural technology from the production to consumers, in the era of hyper-connected, hyper-intelligence society, that actually in the agricultural sectors as well, that they are building big data ecosystems for agricultural sectors with, and also that we applied that these the post-industrial technology for productions, for especially key 11 commodities at this moment. Also that this should be linked to the distribution and consumptions at this moment, that we have a lot of the technical support for policy as well. So that nowadays the Korean government actually that set up the public the direct payment system for agricultural sectors, especially for the agriculture sector itself created a lot of values because of that, conserve agricultural lands, as well as that sometimes that we can, with especially in rice production fields, the paddy fields, they preserve the large of the water to prevent the floods in summer seasons. So we like to support that certain scientific evidence for the government policy for direct payment for agricultural benefit to the natures. So the ALDE's experiment so far actually that science is very key for our agriculture. So so far that we have certain revolutions in agriculture. So that the one sentence describes this our experience. Revolutions in science and technology determine agriculture of tomorrow. So that we often that in the corporations anyone to go together for big challenges in the future through the scientific revolutions at this moment. Hopefully that you can figure a little bit about Korean agricultural R&D for sustainable agriculture, but I am not quite familiar with the policy methods, so that my presentation focused on it, agricultural R&D issues. So if anyone have any questions, please leave that question to send your question to my email trkwon@korea.kr. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kwon. Very excellent presentation and big achievements from your country, not only in economic terms in general, but also in agricultural development. And it's very rich in terms of what you have been doing in soil conservation, for example, and recommendations on fertilizers, management of soil as the fundamental resource for agricultural development. So thank you very much for your presentation. Lots to learn from your country. And as I put in the chat your email so that people could write to you if they have any questions. Thank you very much. Bye. So now we turn to Mr. Isidore Biong-Diok-Yu. I apologize if I didn't say your name correctly. He is a member of the Korean Eco-Friendly Agricultural Association. He has various experiences of organic and sustainable certification for crops, livestock, aquaculture, and processing, and both in Korea and out of Korea. He is the managing director of Isidore Sustainable Research Institute since 2013, and he has a very extensive experience as a qualified trainer and qualified farm assurer in, I will just say, Global Gap and other number of organizations. So he graduated from Chungbuk University. Mr. Isidore, the floor is yours. You have your mic turned off. Your microphone is off. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your introduction about myself, and your pronunciation is very good about my name. You are correct.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me to this very meaningful webinar to ICLAC and CEPAL and Mr. David Yang, who thank you very much. I would like to show you about a case group who tried to make a very natural based agriculture in Korea. It is very historical. I like this group very much. And unfortunately, my job is not a farmer, and I'm just working for an association of eco-friendly farmers. So my office does not have our own model, but we can see many models, and we have many histories about the farmers and the farmers groups and so on. So today I want to show a case who tried to make their own case for the organic agriculture. It's okay. The name of the group is Prundu Farmers Association, and it is made by local organic farmers, and it is they think and they say this group is a community, is a economical community of production and processing and marketing. It was made in 2000. The location is about 100 kilometers from Seoul, and it has subgroups. In this group, it has a sub-geographical groups of 8, and the subgroup has its own small systems. The small systems has their small managers and their own management systems, and they design the groups or the communities crops, and they organize the seasons, and they plan the amounts of produce and so on. And the total number of members is 330, and they are certified as eco-friendly agriculture. The eco-friendly, or we say environment friendly, it includes organic farming. In my understanding, in this group, more than half of the member farmers are organic farmers. So and the rest of the farmers are trying to go up to the organic farming system. So anyhow, they are all trying to become more natural or more organic when they make the agricultural productions. And they are all smallholders. Usually in Korea, we do not have a big business of agriculture. Most of farmers are smallholders. The average area is about 1.5 hectares per farmer. They are all smallholders. So they need to make a group for the cooperation of production and marketing. So the total area is 390 hectares, and it is composed of rice, vegetables, fruit, and mushroom, and laying hens, and other animals. They have 620 beef cattle, and they I think it is not certified as organic, but they grow these beef cattle as their cycle model, because they think for the crops need nutrient, and they wanted to get the nutrient from their own area. So they thought if they grow the cattle's excrement can be used as the nutrient for the crops. So they made the circulation system in their community. So this cattle is a product of beef, and it is a source of nutrient for the crops at the same time. And sales to the consumers cooperative named Hansalim. Hansalim is the biggest consumers cooperative in Korea, and it is very historical. And the Hansalim is we think it the big consumer cooperative is making or is affecting the agricultural policies in Korea. And I think this organic agriculture or environment-friendly agriculture was developed by the consumers cooperatives in Korea, because the many consumers wanted to eat not the conventional agriculture, but the organic or eco-friendly produces. And the rest of products are procured to the local school lunch program. In Korea, we have the school lunch program without charge. So it is fully for free, and every student can eat lunch without payment, and the menu are mostly sourced from organic or environment-friendly agriculture. So this program made the organic agriculture expanded in Korea. Now the social procurement or the school lunch program market for the organic is larger than the normal markets currently. And this group's turnover for last year was $30 million. And there you see this one. This is their slogan. This group's slogan is cooperation of organic farmers will be the solution of agricultural crisis. Because as you see the previous presentation, Dr. Kwon showed Korea developed very much in short time from the poorest country to the very economically developed country now. But in this case, farmers feel that the farmers are not advantageous, because in that case, the prices will go high, then the produce price for the developed countries feel that it is the same in Japan and in Korea as well. Farmers feel the price is not advantageous against the imported produces. So many farmers thought the industrialization in Korea was a crisis for the agricultural industry. So they thought the way to overcome this crisis is to do the farming more naturally or organically. It was their solution, and they found this solution in group. So they wanted to organic group and they made a zone, organic zone, and they made the community marketing and quality control and so on. So this slogan is still very effective. Okay. Okay, cooperation of organic farmers is the way to overcome the agricultural crisis. As I explained, they think the agricultural crisis can be overcome by grouping and organic or environment-friendly agriculture. So they made a cycle in their community like this. There are rice paddies, wet farms, and vegetable farms, and other multiple kinds of crops in their community. And they have cattle or other animals. The animals are used as a source of nutrient for the crops, and the crops are harvested, and the residue is is used as the feed of the cattle. They think it is a circle. It is a cycle of nutrient or nitrogen and carbons. So it is the group was voluntarily made. It's voluntary organization to overcome the decline of agricultural industry since 1990s, and it was an answer from consumers' question. The consumer felt the normal crops or normal produce was not safe, because at that time in 1990s, much amount of chemicals were used in some diseases like atopy, the skin disease, and some other diseases were raised to their children. So they wanted to feed more natural or organic food to their children. It was the consumer's demand. And the other social demand was environmental problems, because they used much amount of fertilizers, chemical fertilizers. And there were some serious problem of quality, the water quality. So it was social demand to reduce the use of the chemical fertilizers and the pesticides. So based on these kinds of demand, they could do, and they could find markets. And they made voluntarily some funds like this. These are the three examples of this group. They made a common fund for the sustainable development, and it is 1% of each farmer's turnover. And it is used for technological support, such as organic seedlings, supply, and farmer trainings. Because for organic farming, seed and seedling is not easy to get. So they thought they are community and they have many farmers, so they can make the community seedling center. Then it required some funds. They thought we can gather some money and we can make our own facility for the seedlings. Like this, they made the organic system one by one. And the other case is income stabilization fund. As you know, the climate change makes many disasters in Korea, on Earth, and it is the same in Korea. So sometimes some farmers damage it very much. So they made the idea to gather some money, and when there is serious damage from disaster, they can support the damaged farmers. And the next one is a welfare fund. It is earned from the group's profit, and it is used for scholarship of members' children. And sometimes they go abroad to learn the developed technologies or their management systems. They can use this fund. And they built these kinds of facilities to handle or process their own produces. First, they have rice processing complex. So it is their own facility, so they can handle the rice husks. The rice husk is made to some cover material. You may know the biochar. It is made to the biochar, and it is used to the farms, and sometimes it is used as fuel to other facilities, so that they can save the fossil fuels. And they have handling facilities for the produce and tofu management plant. This picture is their facility. They are making the tofu with their own produce. And they have animal product processing facility, and even they have animal feed plant, because for organic livestock, feed supplement is very difficult. So they thought that they can make their own feed plant. But still they have challenges for their sustainable business. The first is dependence on national certification program for quality management. Because the organic certification or the environment-friendly certification program is too tough for the farmers. For example, the Korea organic certification requires too many laboratory tests for the chemical residues. It is very hard to overcome. Sometimes the farmers, they don't use chemicals, but it is detected. In that case, strictly the certification bodies give the farmers a very harsh requirement, and they think it is responsibility of the farmers, but it is not the farmer's fault. Sometimes the chemicals are from the soil from 20 or 30 or even 50 years ago. Or sometimes the farm has a neighbor field. The neighbor is not organic field. They can spray. Then the chemical come over into this organic farm. In that case, the chemical can be detected. In this case, the farmer is responsible based on the organic certification program. So the members, some members are giving up the organic farming because of this too tough certification system. And additionally, the consumers sometimes require extra controls. For example, Hansalim, as I told you, Hansalim is the biggest cooperative of consumers in Korea, and they made PGS program, participatory guarantee system. It is extra guarantee system for the organic products, and sometimes they require extra lab tests for chemical residues. So the organic program is very tough, and they should do another programs, and they should do the test very many times. So they feel it is very hard to continue the quality system for organic farming. Those many farmers are giving up. And the next challenge is climate change. So as you know, climate change makes many disasters, and the climate change itself, it's not proper for some crops. So the farmers must find out the new crops, or they should adopt for the changed climates. And for the mitigation, the society or the government are required to make more carbon sequestering systems for their farmings. It is not requirement currently, but the climate change is the biggest issue in Korea for every kind of industry, and agriculture is the same. So we are discussing for the new policies that the organic farming is not for the chemical free. It is not for non-chemical or non-pesticide. Organic farming is for biodiversity, or carbon sequestration, or environment-friendly something. So until now, the farmers could do the organic farming or environment-friendly farming just to escape the chemical detections. But now they should prepare more environment-friendly or more organic to save the biodiversity or some more agroecological requirements. It is a challenge, but the farmers know that it is the original requirements for the organic farming. So this point is hard requirement, but they are ready to change it for this way. So it is not easy to continue their organic system. So many farmers want to leave from the organic system. So they have, the group has a big homework how to continue or expand their system to other conventional farmers in their region. Yeah, I showed you a case in Korea, but I think we have many variable cases made the farmers autonomy system, and I think it is not pushed by government or other institutions or other something more formal groups. The movement was made by the farmers' own willingness. So I hope my presentation was helpful for your inspiration, and thank you and gracias for your audiences.
Thank you, Mr. Isidore. Indeed, it was very useful. And I find interesting the fact that small farmers, the number of small farmers is important in Korea, as it is in the case of many Latin American countries. And then how do you introduce circularity, for example, into the system is something really interesting, and And it is something from which we can learn a lot for example, for Latin America. The concerns that you raise at the end are also quite similar for small farmers in all over the world. So I think there is a lot of exchange that we could have on how to address those issues. We have time for a question. It's coming from Camila Ursua. She asks, she will be interested to know if the installations that you showed for processing rice and for the production of tofu were built by the association or the producers themselves, or there was some subsidy or support from the government. And the same for the insurance in the case of natural disasters. It is self-managed or it is in the context of a government program?
Yes, the facilities were subsidized the half, and the other half was in their autonomy. They gathered by their own willingness and their system. So half and half. Half was subsidized, yeah, by the government. And the government wanted to grow the organic market and organic production systems, so they made the policy to support the organic farmers when there is a group, and the group's willing is very good. In that case, the government support, they give fund like this.
Okay.
And the insurance, and then for the program, the fund against the disaster is not supported by the government. It is their own, the group's own program.
Okay. We have time for another question. This is coming from Marcia Tambuti. She is from our team in ECLAC. She says, if it is possible that national regulations change so that the pressure is on non-organic production instead of being a burden on small organic producers.
Is my understanding correct? Your question is about the small farmers supporting system when they do the natural production system?
Yeah, I mean, changing regulations that create that burden to organic farming. So instead of that, if you could change regulations affecting non-organic farming.
It is not regulated. It is optional. So farmers can convert from conventional to organic, or the organic farmers can return to the conventional farming, but there is no regulation about that. But when they want to market as organic produce, they have to get the certification, the national program. Without the certification, they cannot they cannot put the name of any kind of expression, organic or environment or eco or something else.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we turn to the final presentation from Dr. Sayed Shah. He's from the School of Natural Resources and Environmental Science at Kangwon National University. His current areas of interest are climate change, drought, SDGs, water resource management and ecology, as well as digital and data-based innovations in agriculture and rural development. He has a master's degree in smart agricultural engineering from Haeyoung National University in Korea, and a Master of Public Policy from Kabul University in Afghanistan. So Sayed, the floor is yours. You could start sharing your presentation. presentation if
I'm sorry, I was thinking.
Oh, do you want us to show it?
This is not in computer. I was thinking it is you are sharing automatically.
I will. Sorry, I sorry our audience for this.
I'm sorry.
It is on the screen.
But I cannot change.
You see the presentation now?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so let's.
Okay. Thank you very much for your nice introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to directors, His Excellency ambassadors, professors, colleague student and fellow student, invited guests. This is a distinct pleasure for me to be here. The topic that I am going to present is enabling factors for university as a key factors in promoting agriculture production in Republic of Korea. This topic might be interesting for those who are working on sustainable development. My name is Saicho Jahan, a PhD student, environmental science, Kangwon National University. I'm sorry, can you change the screen?
I am ready.
This is the contents that I'm going to present. I will be talking a brief introduction, about agricultural research university in Korea, function and spirit of public university in Korea, enabling factors of agriculture university, some case study based on nature-based solution initiative. Looking forward, at the end, I will have concluding remark. Please change the. Actually, this some portion of my presentation has been already described in detail through Mr. Kwon, other presenter. But just I don't want to be irritated. Just I will review. These are those who are mainly concerned about the issue of climate change. They are saying any consequences brought by changing temperature, greenhouse gases, increasing precipitation, snow cover or sea level rising, that will affect cereal productivity, specifically agriculture production, because it will increase drought as well as need for fertilizer requirement. Based on the projection, as we can see, until 2100, the cereal productivity will be decreased 10 to 40%. Please change the. This is the natural variability impact on agriculture sector. As we can see in this chart, when natural variability, when climate changes occur, it means it will change in temperature, precipitation, but all these mean it will decrease stability of water supply as well as decrease the inefficiency of water supply. When these two factors affected, the impact will go to the agriculture productivity change as well as an assessed value. Next, please. Those are, in general, there are 203 universities there in Korea, but the most bold as well as well-known, famous university in Korea is Seoul Korea University as well as Gangwon National University. Next, please. Role of agriculture economic research. The goal for agriculture sector are to be competitive, provide health and well-being for sustainable of natural resources, but how to get this to be competitive, provide health and well-being, as well as to support sustainability. We need to human capacity building in every aspect, as well as conducting manual research and disseminating research and policy publication and spreading of all this publication. Next, please. This is a KNU grant that's available in Gangwon National University. One is fundamental principle, accessible to higher education, practical, relevant, useful education, research for public interest, connecting this to all other people. But there is also another fund specifically for those who are support graduate student to do researches for the different field to foster, replicated as well as a skill up for the physically effective, cost effective as well as alternative field for the future. Next, please. Functional spirit of public university. I want to refer to the famous professor from Oregon. He is saying that the spirit of initiative is honoring, as well as the spirit of growth is progress, and spirit of equal opportunity for democracy. Finally, spirit of helpfulness service. It means university as well as public sector is the most innovative sector that power everything in our country. Next, please. As we can see, the Korea sector strategic to the sustainable development goals, the most priority things in Korea is education, because of they are supported by private, federal government, as well as the state and local government. Next, please. In here we have listed the most enabling factors by agriculture universities in Korea. They are supporting for based on the nature-based solution for the agriculture production. We listed in here 5 traditional knowledge agriculture education include search and extension, peer-to-peer advisory work, vocational training, new technologies, and innovation. But the ultimate goal is seamless integration of research, teaching, as well as in extension. We will go one by one. Please change. But the overall objectives for promoting agriculture production in here are to stimulate the economy of the country by getting rural and towns involved in promoting agriculture products, work with agriculture groups to help them keep their production in line with new food trend, and teach all the participants specifically for rural micro entrepreneurship, ensure access, availability, and stability of local agriculture product on the market because of demand and growing population, get local authorities to help promote the idea of consuming locally and help the country build its capacity through nature-based solution with regard to sustainable development. Finally, carrying out studies and research on local food and related economic sector. It means in case of the promote agriculture, they need to cover all the problems related to agriculture. Next, please. But in here, there is a common problem. Unfortunately, soil erosion and climate change is a very big problem in part of the world, particularly in here, because this soil erosion, climate change, and drought is changing the quality and quantity of water resources in here. But the specific problem in Korea, in case of the agriculture production, because the major crop in Korea's rice has been hampered because of climate change. Due to there are seasonal variation of climate changing here, there has been decline in agriculture production because of most of the land in here rain-fed dependency. Also a shrinking number of farm laborers. They're from rural, they're coming to the urban area. Aging rural population is another problem in here. The weakening of the Korean domestic farm market because of number of farm in here is decreasing because of the above reasons. Next, please. So this is one of the factors, enabling factors that's promoting agriculture, Korean traditional knowledge by university. This is a very famous portal in university. It's very simple, as well as full of information, also descriptive. You can find any kind of information by your choice, specifically in case of the traditional portal, pest control of agriculture, as well as ecosystem and agriculture information. Next, please. Agriculture, the other factor is agriculture education by university. And here, overall, there are three kinds of education in Korea: classroom or laboratory education, instruction, experimental learning, leadership. But beside those, in case of the societal challenges in Korea, mostly they are covering all the topic related to the nature-based solution, like ecological restoration, ecological engineering, forest landscape, area-based conservation, climate adaptation and mitigation, ecosystem-based mitigation, ecosystem-based adaptation, natural infrastructure, green infrastructure. Also, as we can see in the picture, there is a learning experience taking place outside of the classroom, supervised by the agriculture instructor. They are teaching as experimentally. Next, please. This is the peer work, peer-to-peer advisory by university. In here, there is two things: agri-ecological as well as agri-forestry. Agri-ecological is implementing in here based on seven phases, but just in case of the combining local and scientific knowledge, they put resilience thinking to feed the growing population and cope with the climate change, as well as to fight with water scarcity, market volatility in here. But in case of agroforestry system in here, they are mixing crop, trees, animals to provide a resilience, as well as strengthening ecological connectivity with forests, as well as maintaining the biodiversity, managing of the soil fertility, as well as water quality. It means that managing the agroforestry, then they can achieve the strengthening of ecological connectivity, maintaining biodiversity, as well as the managing of soil fertility. Next, please. Vocational training by universities. The third enable factor is vocational training. And here above this, there are more environmental risk opportunities surrounding the Korea agriculture, like expansion of agriculture, diversity, consumer safety, grain industrialization, also modernize agriculture, but involve training of people to teach or educate researchers in order to advance field agriculture and food science. As we can see in the picture, there is a hope soil village that's created by university student. Their purpose is to sit or gathering every weekend and asking about administration, as well as creating how to create the form. Then they are donating some money during the summer as well as winter, but during the spring, they are collecting their harvesting and donating to the children as well as to the elder people. Also, they are making some cup coffee for the advertisement of urban agriculture. Also, they are teaching the children how to cultivate the garden. They do teaching voluntarily in every Monday for the children. Next, please. In case of the new technology and innovation is the final factor for the promoting agriculture. Here is two models. One is triple helix models. This is based on the government, industry, university, as well as fourfold innovation model is government, industry, university, plus user public. They are making innovation, social institution, innovation in industry, innovation, human resources, innovation of science and technology based on the data economy, artificial or AI for making the smart technology, drone, as well as the smart farming. Next, please. So here are some case study about nature-based solution initiatives by University of Korea. The first one is sustainable land, forestry, and biodiversity management. It's covered the concept of nature-based solution like ecosystem restoration, forest management, sustainable land use. Planning is located in the one province of Korea. But the purpose of this project is to sustainable land and natural resources management from physical, socioeconomic, and cultural intervention. It is traditional Korean landscape management technique. It is like ecotone transition. It means the transition to same biological community between different type of landscape, and a confusion principle to make it justice as well as saying everything equally. The other one is using the rice straw after the grain harvest as a ground cover and crop protection to prevent the growth of weed and retain the soil moisture during the drought by using the rice straw. Rice farming has adapted using the biodiverse hill forest to its advantage if a symbiotic relationship. The forest serve as a green wall as well as windbreak, controlling the wind exposure from crop to grow the optimal yield for a specific area. Next, please. This is the second case studies, enhancing soil fertility and agriculture productivity is covered the nature-based solution for the resilience, food production, enhance natural and biodiversity, sustainable land use planning. It's located in one of the traditional farming in Korea, but the purpose of this project are to develop Korean farming ethic, combining intercrop, multiple cropping, crop rotation, and crop rotation all rooted in one dynamic system. They play shifting role for fixing nitrogen, maintaining the soil organic carbon matter, balancing microcarbon microbes, feeding decomposition as well as overall soil fertility. They are also, the purpose of this one is preventing land degradation, because land degradation is also a major problem in here, with nature-based solution using, this is one method of nature-based solution, bryophytes, like hair moss, as well as liverwood, which promotes soil decomposition and specifically making for the hilly sloping area to prevent the land degradation within that area, restoring traditional Korean knowledge and soil nutrient, and to finding the natural fertilizer as well as pesticides based on the lab. Next, please. The third case study is water management to respond to desertification. Actually, we don't have the desertification problem much in Korea, but it's covered the nature-based solution, ecosystem restoration, forestry and land use, sustainable agriculture. Is located in one island, near Hwal Island in Korea. The purpose of this one is we have in here the Goljang trusses. The Goljang trusses are traditional trusses available in Korea. They are land reclamation and food security strategy using endemic rice variety and maximizing use of land without adverse effect to the surrounding environment. Because Korea experience regular flood specifically during the monsoon, here university with the help of local people have developed agroforestry system to strengthen as well as maintain the biodiversity, as well as manage the water quality over the planting as well as the cultivating area. Now long adapted to the ecosystem, and trees themselves serve as a barrier for flooding of the village. Now it's working as a barrier to stop or destroying the village from the flooding. Next, please. Number 4 is incentivizing farming. Actually, we have many types of farm, but in here mostly the farmers, the smart farm, the dispersion method is cover natural based solution, enhancing nature and biodiversity, mitigation, climate change, sustainable agriculture. It's located in Songdo, one of train station in Korea. The purpose of this one is like it is like a motivation based on the crop cultivation data and environmental data to finding an optimum cultivation environment to improve productivity and quality of agriculture production with least use of labor, energy, and fertilizer. A key future growth engine to create job and optimize cultivating environmental for crop to adapt climate change and improve agriculture productivity. They are also revitalizing rural area and incentivizing youth to enter to encourage them to how to do the farming, especially with the new system, with the technology. Next, please. The final case study is Grassroots Initiatives. This is also an inspiration and an initial approach in natural biodiversity, adaptation and mitigation to climate change. It's located in 2 schools in Korea. They are doing practically. These are broadening school program and bringing youth from the city to the countryside to learn, as well as how to do organic farming and cooking that their product, their harvest. This school teacher help urban students develop their own rural enterprise, organized trade through their guide this strengthening by the school forming class, we are students do sustainable Korean organic farming practices. As we can see in the picture, this is a farming in this is a teacher. He is doing practically with the student. Next, please. Looking forward, strong potential is required furthermore to rule land grant type of public institution, provide technology and education program and socioeconomic information for the future, provide outreach to industry in coordination with the extension, provide infrastructure for reward for excellence in research. Also, the role of the government is simulate, assist, and coordinate a nationwide network for regional, state, as well as local people, local program as well, for technology development and industrial extension. Provide funding for training, research, and policy implementation further to that's available nowadays. Next, please. So the concluded remark is global climate change is not a new phenomenon. It's already affected on agriculture, specifically quality, quantity of water resource and crop productivity. Agriculture in Korea is a blend centered mostly in agriculture in Korea, all traditional and contemporary technique to adapt variety of environmental conditions, making a model to adapt a future-proof food production against climate change. With this emphasis on making the most local condition, prioritizing native crops, maximizing the use of organic input while minimizing waste, Korea University offered template for the nature-based solution. University and local support of formal revitalizing rural area and incentivizing youth to enter farming, also ongoing effort to prevent from this shrinking of labor to help guarantee the generation sustainability of agriculture. All the research show that the protecting nature is more economically advantaged than exploiting. But finally, I can say now this, for example, this COVID-19 crisis draws all our attention for the how important the nature-based solution, because we need to foster as well as replicate, scaled up, how to use this healthy ecosystem, how to have healthy ecosystem as well as healthy community by implementing some project to be cost effective, physically effective, or changing some alternative way. Excellent. Kamsahamnida. Thank you very much for your listening. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sayed, for such a complete presentation on how universities in Korea are promoting nature-based solutions for sustainable agricultural development. I want to stress the role of how importance is given to the issue of traditional knowledge, and what you said at the end, and it refers to what Mr. Yang said at the beginning. All traditions are fundamental, plus modern knowledge and science. And that's a very important vis-a-vis our situation in Latin America. We are a very biodiverse region. So how we take advantage of that with modern science to enhance that traditional knowledge, and put it to work for finding solutions to new emerging situations. We are almost well a bit over time. I asked now let me change to Spanish. Le habíamos solicitado a la señora Karen Udaeta. Ella es nuestra consultora en este contexto, en el trabajo con Corea. Tiene un máster de ciencias en respuesta al cambio climático en la Universidad de Halim, en la República de Corea. Entonces le quería solicitar muy rápidamente hacer un resumen muy breve de los principales temas destacados en las tres presentaciones. Karen. ¿No está? Karen. No está habilitada, Karen. Por favor. Karen Udaeta, para que nos la habiliten. Ahí está.
Buenos días, buenas noches. ¿Me escucha muy bien?
Te escuchamos, Karen.
Ok. Voy a hablar en inglés para que todos puedan entender. Thank you very much, Adrian. Good morning and good evening, everyone. I would like to remark some key aspects about the presentation of our magnificent expositors. That brings to us other ways to link sustainability in agriculture sector by different levels of actors. As Mr. Wong said, the extreme conditions such as market strain, not limits, that can be opportunities to grow in straight ways, to involve technologies with not harm the environment and in the same time increase productivities. Enhance early warn systems to engage the agriculture sector, allowed brings to evidence to promote sustainability production. Or in the case of institution of organic production, the importance to strengthen cooperation between small organic producers to get a best solution for the crisis that we will confront. And in the same way, consolidate common fund makes sustainability more progress in the long term. In other way, in the other hand, enhance the circularity in these small groups can facilitate sustainability models to be more applied for different ecosystems too. And finally, for academic sector, with the presentation of Mr. Sayed, to increase the knowledge of the dynamic of ecosystems can bring us powerful tools for the local actors and local governments to act on time and to have a better solution in base of the reality of each place. And the active participation of universities can help us to enhance the new solutions like innovations and enhance productivity and related better solutions for the local area. In the end, so I suggest to all of us, let's create strengths for the work together with a new area of change. So, 감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I thank you very much. Mr. Yang, do you want to say a few words to close before I close?
Sí, Adrián. Yo quiero reiterar mis agradecimientos a todos los participantes, especialmente a los panelistas que se han conectado a la noche, muy tarde. Yo creo que las exposiciones fueron muy provechosas, y si bien nuestras realidades son diferentes, también es cierto que hay ciertos lineamientos que pueden ser replicados e implementados en América Latina. Y más que nada, quiero expresar mi apreciación de esta modalidad de trabajo, de estar juntos, mantenernos interesados por nuestros respectivos problemas y el constante intercambio de información. Creo que con esta actitud, si continuamos trabajando juntos, seguramente vamos a contribuir a recuperarnos de esta terrible crisis que nos ha golpeado a todos, de la misma manera tanto a Corea como a América Latina. Así que, expresando nuevamente mis agradecimientos, doy el cierre de esta actividad tan provechosa para ambas partes. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor David Yang. Tomo sus palabras de continuar trabajando juntos, de buscar soluciones a los problemas que son comunes entre nuestras sociedades. Y en ese sentido, bueno, vamos a seguir a toda nuestra audiencia, posiblemente convocarlos para alguna próxima actividad. Les agradecemos les deseamos una feliz noche a nuestros amigos Isidor y Sayed en Corea, y muy buen día para todos en este otro lado del Pacífico, en las Américas. Buenos días a todos. Gracias. Buenas noches.
Gracias.